Yo, so I'm confused. Do judges make like laws and policies, or do they preside over like court hearings? I'm so confused because it's not just Judge Boasberg. It's now 16 other judges that have tried to put injections, even some of them asking for Trumpedo's impeachment. Like Newt Gingrich points out in this news clip I'm about to show you that this is possibly a judicial coup. My name is Marcus Russell. This is the Marcus Russell Show. Check this out because, like, who runs the country, the president or some judge? Let's get right to it.
Newt Gingrich now, former Speaker of the House of Representatives and Fox News contributor, and his latest book, Trump's Triumph, America's Greatest Comeback, comes out in June. So watch for that. Speaker Gingrich, I have to start with your take on the big picture of what has happened. The Trump administration taking the responsibility and saying there was an administrative error, but now Democrats running away with it.
Well, I found it fascinating. We were in a Judiciary Committee hearing yesterday about this kind of district judge involvement, and the Democrats are more passionate about an MS-13 gang member than they were about any of the Americans who've been killed or raped by illegal immigrants. And a woman was there from Aurora, Colorado, and she was very passionate in explaining and being really, I can't bitter, that she's a former Democrat, and she said, you abandon us, you don't care about us. She said, where's the outrage for the Americans? And I think that most Americans are going to look at this and say, you know, I think the Trump administration has now deported 200,000 people. They're getting gang members off the street, just as they've blocked anybody coming across the border to an astonishing degree. And I think most Americans are going to say, you know, this guy probably should have been deported. The judge said he should have been deported, and for some administrative reason he wasn't. But he already had a 2019 decision that he was, in fact, a dangerous person.
Well, and he appealed that, saying that if he went back to where he came from, rival gangs would come after him. I mean, there's so much to this story with this one individual, and as you point out, he's one of many that they have gotten off U.S. soil, many of them members of the worst of the worst. All right, let's get to this. Right now, the Senate Judiciary Committee is looking at how to win in what I call a bizarre game of activist judges playing against President Trump. Lawmakers are examining the wave of injunctions meant to block the president.
For a single judge to order the government to act with respect to people who aren't even before the court. That reaches far beyond the legitimate authority of the court and becomes policymaking. This is something none of us, Democratic or Republican, should want judges to do.
So yesterday's House hearing on the same issue got pretty heated. Congressman, you testified as, Speaker, you testified as a witness. Let's watch.
If we continue down this road, then we will not have a rule of law, because we have people that are currently serving and they're saying things like, ignore the judge's order. What it means to have law and order in this country is that you follow the order and you go through the appeals process, even if you dislike what the judge.
Man, Jasmine, by Felicia Crockett, always rapping. Like that's if it goes to court. But what if like you're the president and you just start doing stuff and then judges think that they can just be like, you can't do that. See, no, that's not the law. That's not the rule of law. That's a judge thinking that they're above the rule of law.
Did.
I'm going to note that when Ms. Ocasio-Cortez, or AOC as we know her, filed articles of impeachment on Justice Thomas and Alito, Ms. Crockett was one of the co-sponsors along with Mr. Cohen. It does seem interesting that when the shoe is on the other foot, everyone is self-righteous. And I think this is a good example. For the last 3 hours, I have had to listen to one side talking about impeachment as though it was the nature of this hearing. It is not.
15 district judges effectively seized control of various executive branch duties in the first 6 weeks of the current presidency through nationwide injunctions. This is potentially a judicial coup d'etat.
You know, I'm curious, why step in at this point as former Speaker?
Well, because actually I had written a paper with Vince Haley back in 2011 pointing out that this growing power of district judges is a direct threat to our whole society. Jefferson warned that having judges be the final decider is an oligarchy. Lincoln based his entire 1858 Senate campaign on opposing the Dred Scott decision by the Supreme Court, which he refused as president to implement. This is a very serious problem. You have 660 district judges. Now, is each one of them an alternative president? Because that's what they're claiming. They're saying their power is greater than the elected president of the United States. I think when you have as many as we've seen in the last few weeks, you have, in effect, a judicial coup d'etat against the elected leader of the American people.
Wow. I want to show you something. I had former federal attorney Andrew Chakasky on this week, and he said this.
I think we have liberal judges who are trying to come up with decisions that are very consistent with or friendly to a liberal position. But we also have judges on both sides of the aisle that are deeply ingrained in what you can call kind of the deep state or this bureaucracy mentality. These people
the deep state of the legal system?
It's the idea that the courts can control lawyers in the executive.
Now, you've seen the other side of that in Congress. Is that reality to you?
Look, the fact is that district judges do not have the power to have a nationwide injunction outside their district and to basically take on the President of the United States. You know, when Lincoln said at Gettysburg, government of the people, by the people, and for the people, he was referring to judges as much as to Southern slaveholders.
Interesting.
Lincoln believed deeply that the people govern America, not some elite unelected group.
Well, look, last one for you. You mentioned 660 district judges. This creates a problem how for the White House? You just said they don't really have the power to go forward with anything, but it becomes a distraction. You still have to deal with it.
Well, not just that, but, you know, we were told in 500 BC by Sun Tzu in The Art of War that speed is the essence of military behavior. Now, you're trying to run the country. You're the commander-in-chief. You're trying to do things that you've had experts tell you should do. Some judge on their own, without any expert knowledge, decides to interpose themselves, and it is silly for the Chief Justice to say, well, there's an appeals process. When you're trying to run the country and save the American people, that appeals process can take a long time. And I think that that's wrong. And I've suggested that the Chief Justice should intervene and say that any district court nationwide injunction is void until it is approved by the Supreme Court, which is a national institution.
Well, and you've just told the American public now kind of the strategy behind how quickly we're seeing things. I had forgotten about that historical quote. Thank you. That's so important. Speed is important.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good to see you.
That's right.
Hey, yo, I promise Newt Gingrich, a lot of times he be all over the place with his politics. But when you're right, you're right. Like, look, there's nothing wrong with people trying to go against the opposing power or the opposing side. There's nothing wrong with judges having strong opinions about deportation. This whole deportation thing is ugly. There's nothing wrong with politicians disagreeing, but like when you try to do things that's beyond the reach of your position, your station, you know what I'm saying? These are treasonous acts in my opinion. Like these judges, even the nerve of them to think that they can stop him. You see, he hasn't stopped with the deportations despite everything. Is he going against the judge's orders? No, because the judge can't give orders to the president. If he can't, show me where they can. You know what I'm saying? My name is Marcus Russell. This is the Marcus Russell Show. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Until next time, peace.